Good morning, good morning. It is 10 a.m. Do not adjust your dial. That's right. Do not adjust your dial. You're probably looking at your clock and saying, what in the world's going on? It's 10 a.m. Sean's on Boom Broadcasting with Wrestling Destiny Podcast. But we have a new podcast on Boom Broadcasting that will be coming out every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Wrestling Destiny with Sean. If you come from the grit and grind, thank you for coming over to Boom Broadcasting and subscribing. If you come from WNI 89.1 Big Bang Radio, thank you for coming over to Boom Broadcasting and subscribing. And if you're one of my new friends that I just met from being on Outta Pocket, Drop the Mic Wednesday, Malvin Off with Mike, Nightcap, thank you for coming in this morning at 10 a.m. on Boom Broadcasting, watching Wrestling Destiny right here with Sean. However you may be, and wherever you may be listening, thank you. And also, we want to give a shout out to a few people as you get ready to go to the barbershop. You're tuned in. The people going to the beauty salon, thank you for tuning in. Dope Boy James, I know you're in the garage right now with the TV on. We're turning some socket wrenches, turning some screwdrivers, working on one of those cars. Thank you for both of y'all tuning in. Everybody else in between, thank you. In this podcast right here, what we will be doing is we'll be looking at what happened prior week of wrestling from Raw, NXT, AEW, TNA, Friday Night SmackDown, talking about it on a Saturday morning, getting you ready. If you're on your road trip, you got me tuned on. I'll get you halfway to your destination. You're going to have to go back to another show on Boom Broadcasting to get you to the other part of your destination. But that's what we'll be doing on Saturday mornings. This will be a show where you can get in the comment box, drop your comments down. We want to hear what you have to say so that I can get in a nice little debate with you, because maybe me and you are thinking the same thing. Maybe we're thinking something different. This show will be all about me. If I was sitting in Paul Levesque, Jason Jordan, if I was sitting in their chair on a Monday night or Friday night producing and writing, what would I be writing? If I was sitting in Mark Henry's chair on a Wednesday night at AEW, what would I be producing and writing these storylines? Would I make changes? Would I keep things the same? I don't know. That's what we're here to talk about. So thank you for tuning in. As always, we got other content on Boom Broadcasting. You're more than welcome to tune into our other content. Got my water with me. Got a live mic. I am ready to go. Take a water break. And now we are ready to roll right here on Wrestling Destiny at 10 a.m. And when I think about 10 a.m., it reminds me of back when I used to watch Mania. If you're old school like me and like a lot of people on Boom Broadcast, a lot of people that watch our own audience, 10 a.m. is that Mania spot. We had WWF, Todd Pettengill, Sean Mooney, Macho Man Randy Savage. They would get you ready. They would recap everything that happened on Raw, talk about what happened on some house shows. So that's why I wanted that 10 a.m. slot. They kind of have that nostalgia of Mania. Now, if you're like my kids who grew up in the CW 10 a.m. spot, they have Velocity. So we would watch Velocity Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That was our tradition. Get up, saw a couple of shows that was before Raw, saw some stuff that happened on Main Event and on Velocity. So we would watch that. So that's why I wanted the 10 a.m. slot. And a little bit about me, if you don't know, from if you've been on some of the shows, you know, I'm an old school fan, NWA. Grew up watching it with Granny, watching the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. Grew up watching them. Grew up watching Harley Race. Grew up watching Ric Flair. A bunch of people from that NWA era switched over to WWF, WCW, was there between the Monday Night Wars with NWO versus DX, Monday Night Raw versus Nitro, saw Bill Goldberg win a World Heavyweight Championship on free national TV on TNT that night, saw the biggest heel turn in my lifetime with Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. And for a lot of people who are younger, go back and look at that on YouTube. That heel turn was so big that it made the 8 o'clock morning news. I remember waking up the next morning, and that was on the 8 o'clock local morning news that Hulk Hogan turned his back on America and turned his back on fans. So grew up in that era, grew up with DX, NWO, grew up through the Ruthless Aggression, kind of watched it sporadically during the Ruthless Aggression, kind of watched it kind of off and on with Cena and some other people, Edge and them. Then now in the Bloodline era, in the AEW era, the Ring of Honor era, New Japan, so much wrestling out there, women are wrestling wild. NWA, we'll be talking about them. Got the 10 pounds of gold right behind me, the one of the most prestigious titles in wrestling. So we'll be talking about NWA a little bit on this show. So this show is just my thoughts of what I would do. So with that, let's jump into it. Let's go to Monday night. World Women's Championship match. Zelina Vega versus Liv Morgan. Good match. Great match right there. I was very impressed with it. No changes I would make on that. Liv should have kept the title. Zelina came out. Good showing for her. Money in the Bank qualifying match. Let's talk about that one. If I was booking that one, you got Ilya Dragunov, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. If you know me, I'm a big Sheamus fan. I like Sheamus. He doesn't have the finesse like Bret Hart. He doesn't have the charisma and the style and the profiling like Ric Flair. But he can go in the ring. And I call him a brawler. He's a brawler. He's going to hit you with everything but the kitchen sink. Good match right here. But the right person won. McIntyre should have been the one to get the Money in the Bank to qualify. Only thing I didn't like out of this match is you got to put in Ilya and Dragunov out of these matches. We want to buy in on this guy because we saw what he did in NXT. Former NXT champion. We know he's a good wrestler. But we cannot keep having him take these losses. Then when they're ready to put the machine behind him and give him the push, then you give him a push and we were like, oh, he's hit and miss. It's kind of like Karrion Kross. You know, and I'm a big Karrion Kross fan. I feel like Karrion Kross should have lost, but I'll jump into that in the next segment. You could have replaced him with The Miz, R-Truth, nothing against Austin Truth. You could have found somebody backstage, Braun Strowman, anybody, JD, anybody you could throw in that match. Dominic Mysterio, anybody to take the L for Drew. I felt like if you want to say this guy is going to be your future, then you need to go ahead and get him moving up the ladder and get him away from these type of matches. Now, Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods, I understand the story. You're trying to turn Xavier against Kofi Kingston. We understand it. That's what Karrion Kross is. If Karrion Kross, when I see this guy, he was NXT champion. Saw him do his first live match on the Raw show when he wrestled on Main Event. When he came out with the goofy helmet and all that stuff. Did not like that. I said, oh God, Vince McMahon's going to kill this guy. Now has a chance to come back under Triple H's era. Good sign for Triple H. I think Karrion Kross can be a guy that we can see in the main event as the World Heavyweight Champion. He's beaten 7 heavyweight champions or 7 WWE champions, however we want to balance it out. But we got to get a push behind him. This hot and cold hit or miss is driving me bonkers. It's driving me insane. We got to get this guy on the right track if he's going to be our future champ. And I think if I'm armchair booking, fantasy booking, he's a future champ in my books. I can see it. I see that this guy has all the materials of a champion. So I would have definitely changed the outcome on that one. Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, we knew Dirty Dom was going to lose, but Dom's got to win one. When is he going to win one before they have the big match, whether it's Career versus Dom or Maz versus Hair? They're going to have a big match, and you feel like it's going to probably be a retirement match for Ray where he hangs it up. Dom needs to win one now, so when they get to that match, you can feel like it's got some momentum behind it and that Dom has a puncher's chance to win and put Ray in retirement. Money in the Bank, Zoe Starks, Dakota Kai, Ivy Now. Glad Zoe Starks won. Big Zoe Starks fan. If you watch this show, you're going to become a Zoe Starks fan. Big fan of hers. I like her moveset. Want Zoe Starks to get out of this sidekick role. Right now, they have her as a sidekick. I don't like the sidekick role. Zoe Starks needs that push to get going. And for her to get that push, she's got a big win. She needs to kind of start coming into some more matches, getting on the circuit, working those house show matches. That'll help her get to where she needs to be. When she was with Trish Stratus, she was a sidekick. She beat Becky Lynch during that era, but she was a sidekick. Now with Shayna Baszler, you still look at her as the Marty Jannetty. No knock on Marty Jannetty. I grew up watching the Rockers. But you look at her as the Marty Jannetty. She needs to break out. This Money in the Bank match could be the breakout segment. We'll talk about it in our third segment right here. But this is what I want. And I need Zoe Starks for them to book her, take her seriously, and get her going. Jey Uso kicked it off. Very good kickoff. Jey Uso is over like Rover right now. He's the moneymaker on Raw. He's what the people are paying the tickets to see. I went to the show over there in North Carolina. When Jey Uso came out, the building exploded. He's got a big fan base and it's loud. So, he's the guy right now. Then you had Chad Gable come out. And I'm going to talk about this before I jump over to my SmackDown breakdown. I'm ready for Chad Gable to get his push. You thought it was coming. You thought this push was coming because you thought Gable was getting ready to be in gear to get going. Last year, he had a 5-star match to me with Gunther. He did not win, but it was a great match. And Chad Gable has overcome the Shorty G gimmick, the bad tag team gimmicks, the Alpha Academy riding on the scooter racing the New Day with Otis gimmick. He has overcome all of this stuff and has now found a way to propel himself to be a top mid-carder. He can be one. But they got to get the machine behind him. They got to take him seriously. And that's the only way it's going to happen. I think they got some with Gable, but you got to get him away from this Wyatt Six. And I understand why the Wyatt Six attacked him. They're attacking people who did not do other people right in the short term of it. But Gable needs to break away. I'm ready to see Gable team up with the Creed brothers and Ivy now and form something right there as their leader. I'm ready to see Gable team up and have Otis have that big return that we're supposed to have with Otis, where Otis gets that big payback. Otis has not got his payback yet, and it makes me wonder, are they going to do it? Yes, he pushed them, but we were waiting on Otis to have that big payback that blows the roof off. We still didn't get that. So this is why either you got to make Otis get his revenge and get that payback, or you got to get Chad going the right way with Ivy now, with the Creed brothers, going into this show right here and build into the future to become a top mid-carder. So that's it for Raw right there. For other breakdown of Raw, please go back on Boom Broadcasting, tune into the Nightcap from Monday night, and you'll hear a breakdown of Raw with them. Been recording all day, so please excuse my voice. It'll be better by tomorrow. So as we look at Friday Night SmackDown, Jey Uso, he's on SmackDown. I told you, he's got the faction behind him. He's the man right now. He's the man, the money man, the man with the plan. Jey Uso, big ovation coming on SmackDown so you can see it. Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly. Good match right here. Profits right now are rolling. Pretty Deadly had something, and they had it in NXT, got on the main roster, they got cold. Then they kind of picked it back up, got a little more speed behind them, then they got cold again. This is a team that in the next 2-3 years could be a champion. It could be a good heel tag team champion. Could be something like IRS and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Could be something like the Midnight Express. Don't wrestle like the Midnight Express, but could just be a good heel team that you could have a babyface team like the Street Profits chasing after. I feel like this was a good match. The Profits laid it out, but the one thing I always say about the Profits is, when is Montez going to break away? Come on, get in the comment box right now. Let's talk about that. It's time for Montez to break away and become a mid-carder, working his way up to a world heavyweight contender. He's got everything you need. He's got the charisma. He's got the moveset. He's got the promos down pat. You name it, he can do it. He's ready for it. And I really think that it's time for him to head that way and go on a singles run. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, great match versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Good match right here. Bianca and Jade won. Still kind of worried about Jade. Feel like we could get a little bit more out of Jade. And I said this on Clash of the Champions, and I'll say it on the Clash of the Champions post show with Mouth Off with Mike in the panel, and I'll say it again right now. AEW figured out how to do this with Jade when she had the baddies with her. Kiera Hogan. Shout out to Kiera Hogan. They figured out with Kiera Fire now. They figured out how to do this. AEW put it in squash matches. That's what WWE needs to do. If she's not teaming with Bianca every week, 1-2, big move, finish, go home. 1-2, big move, finish, go home. That needs to be Jay's game right now. And I feel like Jay can wrestle. A lot of people, I know she's still green. Not going to see her say she's not green. Yes, she's still green. But Jay, to me, biggest problem is she's trying to deprogram the AEW style and learn the WWE style. Because everybody knows Vince McMahon always talked about this. Triple H talks about it. Shawn Michaels talks about it. Steve Corino down there at the Development Center talks about it. It's a WWE way. You have to learn things the WWE way. Brian Kendrick, when he comes training at NXT, when he was on our show recently, he talked about the WWE way. It's the way WWE just does things for the camera angle, for how you work, how you sell. So that's what she's trying to master, and I feel like that's what's holding her back. So in order for her to really get going, put her in some squash matches. Put her in some squash matches. Let her squash people. Find some local people that you can do. And that's what WWE was good about during Vince's era at the beginning of Raw. He would have his top guys like Razor Ramon squash people. I mean, if you go back, no knock on the Hardy Boys, but that's how the Hardy Boys got in. They came in as jobbers to do jobs for the main guys when they were just 16, 17 years old, still in high school. That's what they need to do for Jay. Find local talent that she can squash. And every time you go in, that builds up her confidence. That gets her learning the WWE way. And I mean, I haven't been to a house show because we haven't had that many in my area. But if every house show come up, she needs to be working 15 minutes a house show every show. That's going to get her ready for WrestleMania next year. Because the one thing I'm worried about WWE is I don't want her and Bianca to break up now and rush it. Let her get to a place that when she fights Bianca, she's ready, she can hold her own, and both of them can call the match without Bianca kind of having to drive the ship. That's what we want. Hold off, let her get some more bearings under her, and then let's go with it. And I got a little worried because I thought they had started planting seeds for this to happen earlier, but I see they kind of dialed it back in. They reeled it back in and said, we're not going to go this way. So that's what I feel like for Jade and Bianca. Hold off, put Jade on some squash matches and get her going. Another thing I liked about on SmackDown, I'm going to jump straight to the main event. Like I said, for SmackDown, go check out the nightcap over there on Boom Broadcasting for the full breakdown of SmackDown. Just in a few things that I would highlight. And I wouldn't change nothing about this right here. DIY. They said that this stadium is their home court. Beating A-Town Down Under. Now, I like A-Town Down Under. Thought they were great heels. One thing I can say about Theory and I can't call it Grayson Waller. One thing I can say about them is both of them know how to be heels. And sometimes you're just good enough where that's what you need to be. You need to be a heel. The Miz, right now, is doing a good face run. And I mean, I really think his face run got started when he got in that programming with Gunther that really got the people back behind him. Because I still say that night, he cut a great promo against Gunther, telling Gunther, you must have got, I'm the first two-time Grand Slam champ. Great promo to Miz cut to really get the people back behind him. But these two guys know how to be heels. DIY knows how to be baby faces. This was a classic Midnight versus Rock and Roll NWA match right here. Ups and downs. And you know, one thing I always talk about that I love to see in tag team wrestling, hot tags, holding that tag rope. Tommaso Ciampa, my friend, you get a standing ovation. Not only did you wait for the hot tag and hold that hand out, but when that camera shot that angle, you grabbed that tag rope, and when you came in, you did just like Robert Gibson would have done when Ricky Morton made that hot tag. You clean house, wreck havoc on A-Town Down Under. That's what you're supposed to do. Great match, great win. And WWE always does good. And you felt like going into this match with a hot pay-per-view tomorrow, with a hot pay-per-view tonight. I know I keep thinking something about Sunday Night for Heatwave. With a hot pay-per-view tonight, you thought that WWE would do a change tonight to get the fans going. So they're always good with making sure they do things at the right time. Good match right here. DIY won. Great tag team match. Can't knock it. To me, this match right here was A minus. A lot of people think it was a B plus. I think it was A minus because I think both teams did well. Now, it's one thing I don't want to see coming out of the fallout of this match. We've been seeing over the past couple weeks the seeds planted for the Grayson Waller Austin Theory heel versus heel match. And it looks to be that Grayson Waller is going to be the heel and Theory's going to turn face. I think that's going to be a big mistake. Big mistake. And the reason why I think it's going to be a big mistake is because Theory's just a great heel. And sometimes when you're a great heel, you just need to stay a great heel. Theory and Waller can have a good match. But how do you do this? You got to go in the fall. And you got to go back to SummerSlam 92, I believe. If I'm wrong, drop it in the comment box. Let me know when I correct it. But I got to say this is one of my favorites in my little classic collection of matches I go watch. And you can do a heel versus heel match. And at SummerSlam 92, you had the model Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels. Two heels. But the gimmick was they were battling over Sensational Sherry to be their manager. And neither one of them could one-up each other. Rick Martel, Sherry gets knocked off the ring. Rick Martel grabs her. The model tried to carry out. Shawn Michaels stops him, beats him up. He tries to carry out. Match back in the ring. It goes. You can do that with those two. And if I was those two, and I know this is where WWE is heading towards with this program, I would go back and watch that match and show how you can do a heel versus heel match. Because if Theory wins, you don't want him to come out as a face. If Waller wins, you want Theory. If Waller wins, Theory's going to come out as a face. So Theory has to win, but you got to give him some type of gimmick like they did SummerSlam 92 by having both of them battle over somebody, whether it's a manager, battling over who was the better partner. Was I the better partner? Were you the better partner? Was you the weakest link? You got to put some type of gimmick in it because you don't want to see this happen where Theory comes out as a face. Theory needs to stay a heel. It can be done. I would encourage WWE right now, go watch the model Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels. If you've seen that match, drop in the comment box what you thought about it. But to me, I thought that was the best heel versus heel match that I've seen. Now let's move over to tonight. That'll happen. Well, before that, we got to do one more report. TNA had a show on Thursday night. Had a chance to watch it. Charlie Dempsey made an appearance on TNA. And if you go back and watch the NXT breakdown that me and Mouth Off with Mike did on the nightcap, both of us are fans, and so many other people that chimed in the comment box are fans of the TNA WWE agreement. And I think both programs have got it right because now you can have Broken Bat appear at NXT. You can have Nick Demus appear, which is Dolph Ziggler, appear at NXT. You can have Roxanne go over to TNA. It's so much you can do, but I want to say this with this agreement. If you're going to do it, I tell you, I grew up watching the NWA. Grew up watching Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk. Grew up watching the Von Erichs. Grew up watching all that because that's all Granny had on VHS tapes. Was those type old matches like that. Do it how the NWA did. When Harley Race would go, and he was the NWA champion, 10 pounds of gold right there. When he was the NWA champion, and he would go to Texas to fight one of the Von Erichs. The Von Erichs won, but it was by disqualification or countout. So you protect the champ, but the hometown babyface of the promotion gets a win to get the crowd going. So then you bring Harley Race back to fight again in 4 more months, and this time he cheats to beat one of the Von Erichs. That's what we were used to seeing. Let's go back to the NXT pay-per-view with Jordynne Grace versus Roxanne the Prodigy. You cannot bring in a champion from another promotion and have that champion lose cleanly on your promotion. Roxanne should have got disqualified. Jordan Grace should have got disqualified. They could have both fought outside to a 10 count, double count out. It's so many ways you could protect your champ that they just didn't do. And it makes me wonder that are we going to see this again? Now, if I was WWE and I booked that match, I would not have that happen again. If Jordan Grace comes back to NXT, fights Roxanne Proxy, she's got to get a win. She's got to get a win. So you're going to have to make it a non-title match, or you're going to have to say the TNA title's on the line and she gets a win. That's how I would have booked that match, but it's a good partnership that TNA and WWE have going on right now. It needs to last for a while to get it going and to keep it going, but we would not have seen this in the Vince era. So Triple H and Shawn Michaels are both doing good. Now, it's another promotion that needs to tie into this promotion. If I was the NWA, you have the 10 pounds of gold belt, the most prestigious title in wrestling to many people. Cody Rhodes held that title. Dusty Rhodes, Nick Aldis, R-Truth's held it. EC3's holding it right now. Tim Storm's holding it. So many people have held that belt. Ric Flair, Harley Race, Terry Von Erich. The list goes on and on and on. I can sit here all night and name them. Why has the NWA not reached out to NXT, especially with EC3 as a champ? Matt Cardina held it, who was Zack Ryder, and say, we want to get on your promotion. Either we want to have our guy in the Royal Rumble, or we want to have our guy come on NXT and do something. And if you're AEW, well, if you're NWA, you want to call AEW first, because that's going to be a yeah. Because you have a working relationship, because on your first ever pay-per-view, Cody Rhodes beat Nick Aldis for the NWA title. If you're the NWA, you got that. You can say our title was on your first pay-per-view. Your first ever sellout pay-per-view in Chicago, Illinois. We want to be on one of your shows. You can get on Ring of Honor. Right now, the NWA is on YouTube and CW. A lot of people are not watching it. You got EC3 as your champ, a guy who was in TNA, a guy who was in WWE, NXT, and WWE on the main roster. Get up with TNA, get up with WWE, NXT, work out a partnership where your champ can be on their show. And then I'm telling you, I would be aiming for the Royal Rumble to be on their show, to have EC3 come out as the NWA champ wearing the 10 pounds of gold. That will be monumental, and that will put eyes on your program. But enough about that. We'll be talking about NWA, Wild Women's of Wrestling, New Japan, all that stuff on the other shows as we keep going on. Now we got a pay-per-view getting ready to kick off. One more water break. We got a pay-per-view getting ready to kick off in a few more hours. And we want to encourage everybody right who's watching my show at 10 a.m. that as soon as the pay-per-view ends, as soon as Money in the Bank ends, go to Boom Broadcasting. We're going to be doing a live streaming. Mouth off with Mike. We'll have a panel of people up there talking about what went right, what went wrong, what we think. Did the right person win Money in the Bank? Did the right women win? Get it out 3 times fast. Money in the Bank. All of that will be going on right there on our post show. So go to Boom Broadcast as soon as it ends for the post show. So let's make some predictions of Money in the Bank. Let's start with Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker. Sami Zayn is like Ricky Morton. He can just sell. He can sell water to the well. He knows how to sell. And this match right here, it's either 2 outcomes going to happen. Either Braun Breaker's going to walk out as a champ, or Braun Breaker's going to get disqualified and Sami retains. Sami's not going to pin Braun Breaker for the 1, 2, 3. It's not going to happen. Braun Breaker right now is a definitely hot mid-carder who needs a title. And Taz always says his best. Some people make the title. The title makes some people. Gunther made the title. Sami made the title. Braun Breaker winning this title, the title will make him as an established person on the mid card. And I know a lot of people say, what you mean when you say that, Shawn? Because Braun Breaker's NXT champion, former NXT tag champ with Baron Corbin. Why are you saying this? Won the Destiny Road Classic with Baron Corbin. Why are you saying this? You have a lot of people on the main roster who don't watch NXT on Tuesday night. Know the people, heard of the people, seen highlights of them, but don't watch the full show. Putting the Intercontinental title on Braun Breaker now gives him some clout where you look at like, okay, we knew this guy was good, but man, he went in and just beat Sammy hands down. And if you go that route where he comes in and just, I hate to see Sammy get squashed. I'm a big Sammy guy. But if you go that route, man, Sammy's going to sell this like nobody's tomorrow. He's going to sell a beat down that Braun Breaker gave him, and you got something where you put Braun Breaker over, he's your champ, and Sammy did a good job. Now, do I want to see Sammy's title run come to an end? Not right now, but I think Braun Breaker needs this title to get going to where they want him to go for to be a World Heavyweight Champion on the Raw brand. So Braun Breaker should win this match. That's my prediction. Braun Breaker will win. Let's jump over to our next match. Damian Priest versus Seth freaking Rollins. If you would have asked me at Clash of the Castle with Seth Rollins coming back and I would have known, I would have probably told you Drew's going to win this match. But Damian Priest won. And I can't say there was a stale moment during Damian Priest's title reign that I felt like, man, it's just getting stale. It needs a breath of new fresh air. It needs something. Well, we got it. You got Carlito that's hanging with the Judgment Day. And Carlito is kind of like what Sammy's been in the Bloodline when he joined. He's just being that breath of fresh air with those little one-liners. That was cool. Or that's cool. That stuff to make you love to kind of break it up. Then you throw in Liv Morgan with this Dirty Dom little storyline they got going on. Liv Morgan's been a breath of fresh air to the Bloodline, to the Judgment Day. So now Damian Priest's run isn't so stale no more. It's kind of got some fresh air. So it makes me feel like to solidify him as a champ, going to SummerSlam to fight Gunther, he needs this win over Rollins. Now, he beat Rollins at WrestleMania, but you cashed in on a hurt Drew, not Rollins. So he needs this win against Rollins to kind of solidify him as a serious, legit champ, a threat. He's beaten Drew twice. Now if he beats Rollins, now going to SummerSlam with Gunther, you can kind of take that match a little more serious where you feel like, okay, maybe Priest does have a chance against Gunther. Now, I've been saying this since day one, since Gunther won the King of the Ring, and they said whoever win would have a championship title match. Gunther's winning that title in 2024. It's coming to Gunther. He's going to restore honor back to that title because that sacred match is sacred, as he always says. Gunther's going to win that title. But if you're going to put Priest and Gunther, Priest has to get this win tonight over Seth Rollins to solidify himself as a true threat to defend the title against Gunther. Now, I don't want to see Priest turn face. And I feel like that's where they're headed. I feel like that's where they're heading with Priest to turn face to fight Finn Balor. We can maybe get that later on after he loses to Gunther. But with Gunther, he's got to go in as the leader of Judgment Day that people are kind of tweening in between a heel and a face. Now let's jump over to our women's Money in the Bank match. Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Laura Baccarin, I said that wrong, Tiffany Stratton, Tiffany Time, Naomi and Zoe Starks. Now I said earlier, I'm a Zoe Starks fan. And if you continue watching this show, you will become a Zoe Starks fan. This is a good match. I think everybody in this match is in the right place. But with this match, I got to go two ways. I got to pick a winner, and then I'm going to pick a dark horse winner. That if my winner don't win, I got a dark horse. I know you probably saying, well, Shawn, you only can pick one. Well, with this one, it's hard. Because my winner is, my dark horse is who I should be picking as my winner. But I just have a feeling that it's this person's time. And I'm going Chelsea Green. And the reason why I'm going Chelsea Green, if Chelsea wins that briefcase at Money in the Bank, you got something with her. She is a heel. She's an arrogant heel. She knows how to cut promos. She knows how to get under your skin. And for her holding that briefcase for a calendar year, waiting till Mania or waiting somewhere like Royal Rumble to cash in, that would be perfect. if she cashed in on Rhea or Bayley for the title. Because I'm telling you, Chelsea carrying the briefcase will make the briefcase. Just like we said, Braun needs the title. Braun needs the title to make him more established. Chelsea needs the briefcase because that will solidify her as the true heel. And I'm telling you, every Monday night and Friday night, her coming out cutting promos, just get it under the fans' skins, she will have more heat than Dom Mysterio. Chelsea should be the winner of this match, but my dark horse is Zoe Starks. I feel like I said earlier, it's time for Zoe Starks to get out of that sidekick role. She was a sidekick with Trish Stratus. She beat Becky. She just feels like a sidekick to Shayna Baszler. It's time for her to get out of it. For her to get out, she needs to go ahead and win this and break away. This could be her coming out party, her breakaway party, but I just feel like it's going to be hard with Chelsea Green in it. And I feel like WWE is ready to kind of get Chelsea Green headed down that road faster than Zoe Starks. So if Zoe wins, I'm glad, but I feel like it's Chelsea Green to win. Now, our men's Money in the Bank. The hottest person going in is Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre. And I'm going to eliminate everybody as we go. LA Knight. As much as I like LA Knight, as much as I want to see this guy win, they dropped the ball on him last year. LA Knight's not winning this year. If he wins this year, it's good, but it's not great. So I'm going to mark LA Knight out. I think LA Knight is going to win the U.S. champ over Logan Paul at SummerSlam. And I don't want him to always be considered a big car guy because LA Knight has the promo ability. He has the fans behind him. And I'm telling you, Denton, I was already over with LA Knight a whole bunch, but if you go back in time, when he was getting ready to fight Roman at Crown Jewel, and Roman's doing his entrance, and he just walks out past Roman during his entrance with his music and don't even look his way. That's why LA Knight could be a WWE champion. Things like that, the persona he could have with that title, he would make the title. So he's not winning Money in the Bank. He's scratched off my list. Andrade. I feel like it's not Andrade's time. I feel like Andrade has had a decent run since coming back to WWE, but nothing spectacular that makes me say, oh yeah, he's the guy, he's the favorite. So I'm eliminating Andrade. Now I'm going to Carmelo Hayes. I'm eliminating Carmelo Hayes. And I like Carmelo Hayes a whole lot. Melo don't miss. But my biggest thing with Carmelo Hayes is I don't want him to get caught in between that being in Money in the Bank, that Kofi Kingston role of Money in the Bank. Being that acrobatic who does a big move off the ladder, to get the people to gasp for air. Kofi done that for a bunch of years in the Money in the Bank match. I feel like that's what they feel with Carmelo. That he's going to probably do swish, Melo don't miss, do the big leg drop off the top of the ladder. And I just don't want him to get caught up year in, year out, being that guy who gets qualified for Money in the Bank to do the acrobatic, do the big move off the ladder. If you're going to put him in the next year, have him be serious, take it serious and win. So I'm Xing Carmelo out. So that leaves me my final three. Jey Uso, Chad Gable, and Drew McIntyre. And I'm going to tell you who I'm going to X out next. Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is getting X out because he's got a bigger program with Punk. And you feel like he's going to lose the first one against Punk and then get the second one. You don't want Drew holding the title and then lose against Punk as Money in the Bank briefcase holder. When you're the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, you should be winning. If you're fighting 10 times, 8 out of 10 you should win. 2 of them should never be a clean loss, a count out, or something disqualification. I feel like if you have Drew lose against CM Punk as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, it dampers him as the briefcase holder. So that's why I exit Drew out, because he's got other things to do with Punk. I think Punk comes back tonight, interferes in the match, and costs Drew another win to add more fuel to the fire. So now that leaves me Jey Uso and Chad Gable. Who do I eliminate next? I'm eliminating Jey Uso. Boy, I know the comment blocks is blowing up right now. Please drop comments in on who you think is going to win. But I'm eliminating Jey Uso. Why I'm eliminating Jey Uso? We saw this with LA Knight last year. LA Knight was the hottest person going in, and he did not win. I think the same thing for Jey Uso. Hottest person going in, not winning. And he had a great match against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship match. And I think Jey Uso is ready to be a World Heavyweight Champion. I think he could carry SmackDown as a World Heavyweight Champion. He's got the fans. He's got the merchandise selling. But I feel like not right now. So who does that leave? That leaves Chad Gable. Master Gable's my pick to win the men's Money in the Bank. And you're probably looking at me like, that is a wild pick. You got to be on Cloud 9 Planet X to make this pick. But let me tell you why I think Gable's going to win. Now, I told you we never got the ending of Otis and Gable, that ending. We never got that. And we may could get it tomorrow night. We'll get it tonight. I keep saying tomorrow night like it's heat wave. 2 pay-per-views back-to-back, WWE, you're killing me. We may could get it tonight, but I doubt it. But Gable wins. The Creed brothers come out to help Gable win. So now that puts them all together as a faction. Ivy now comes out, helps Gable win. That's what Gable's been telling them. You know, he's been telling Otis and Alpha Academy, they broken up, that he needs friends. They prove that they're his friends, help him win. Gable wins the title. Well, wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. Gable can hold that briefcase for a whole calendar year like Damian Priest did. Now Gable goes to Mania. Gunther fights somebody at Mania, whether it's Rollins, McIntyre, Punk, they take him to the limit. Gunther's weak. Gable comes in and catches in on Gunther to win the title. And why would that happen? Before Sammy beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title, who was the only person to beat Gunther by countout? Gable. Who took Gunther to the limit for the Intercontinental Championship night on Monday Night Raw in a 5-star match? Gable. If you listen to me on Drop the Mic on Mike D's podcast, a while back I talked about Gable having to finish his story. His story is beating Gunther for a title. What better way to beat Gunther for a title than cashing in on him on Mania and walking out as a champ? So that's why I'm taking Gable as my pick to win Money in the Bank right here. So now, our main event for Money in the Bank. Cody Rhodes and RKO, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And shout out to Kevin Owens. He's going through a lot. Mom's sick, back and forth between the hospital, handling his obligations in WWE. Thoughts, prayers, everything going out to him, his mom, and his family as they're going through this. And was such a professional, being able to come back and forth to handle things. A lot of them, but he's been able to balance it. Such a professional writer. Speaks highly of Kevin Owens and how much he thinks of not only just WWE, but being able to be with his mom and then fly back in to make SmackDown. Very professional, I like him, and being able to do the match tomorrow night. He could have pulled out. They could have put anybody in, but he wanted to do it. So they're taking on the Bloodline. And it's Tonga Loa, Sosa Cola, and Tama Tonga. Before we talk about this match, let me say one thing. I, myself, am a GOD fan. That's why this podcast is named WOD, Wrestling of Destiny. Named after the Gorillas of Destiny. But I'm ready to see the GOD we had in New Japan. I'm ready to see Tama Tonga just come out after a match and just cut a New Japan style promo that he used to do. You remember the one when he won the Ring of Honor titles, no knock on Ring of Honor, and he threw the title and said, "This is garbage. I don't want it." That's the Tama Tonga I've been waiting to see. You remember when Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga won the Open Tag titles? And Tama Tonga came and cut a promo against New Japan and said, "I won the title night in New Japan, but guess what? I work for free." And cut a promo about New Japan, how they were just not a good agency stuff. That's what I want to see. I want to see GOD get back to those days. I find it kind of hard because right now, WWE is kind of dancing around the Attitude Era where we're right here at the line, but we can't go too far. We're right there at the line, but we just can't touch it. Now, when they go to NXT, I think it's all on. And I think we're going to go back seeing the old GOD that we saw in New Japan. But that's what I want to see. And man, I got to talk about Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu looks like a trained killer. Since losing weight, since leaving MLW and losing weight, and he needed to lose some weight. He needed to cut some pounds because the moveset he was doing in MLW, man, he was reminding me of Bam Bam Bigelow. I was like, this guy for his weight should not do some of the things he's doing. So cutting weight now is going to make him be able to do even more off the top rope high risk maneuvers that we won't see. But man, telling you, he looks like the enforcer, the train killer of the Bloodline 2.0. He's got the look. He's got everything you need. And I keep saying this, when Solo Sikoa and Cody are done, and when this Civil War is done, you, WWE, have just signed somebody that him and Cody Rhodes can do a year-long feud where they just pass the belt back and forth, back and forth. You can put it on Jacob, have Cody chase Jacob, have Cody overcome, beat Jacob, go back, Cody hold it, have Jacob hold it again. You just got some. And he looks the part. He looks like a trained menace killer in the Bloodline. That's why now I'm saying this. Kevin Owens got to take the pin tonight. He's got to lose. The Bloodline have to come out of this match as the winners. And if they do, it's going to make them look better, because if you want to build them up for the Civil War against Roman Reigns and the Usos, and I know they're talking about maybe bringing in, he's a free agent, he's already been signed, Tama Tonga and Tonga Lo's younger brother, Hakilo, that was in New Japan. Can't say his name right, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. But I say don't bring him for that match. Bring in Andre Uso for that match. But if you're doing that way, if you're going that route, which we know they're heading that way full sail, full strong, have them lose at Civil War, but have them win tonight to make some. Because now Solo can come and say, I wear the Ufalala. I'm the tribal chief. He just cut a great promo last night on SmackDown about being the tribal chief. Roman, you couldn't do it. I beat him. I beat the team that Cody Rhodes was on. Have all that happen and you got something right there. So those are my picks right there. I'm taking Chad Gable for the men's Money in the Bank. Taking Chelsea Green to win, but taking Zoe Starks as the dark horse. Taking Priest to retain over Seth Rollins. Taking Braun Breaker to walk out as your Intercontinental Champ. And taking the Bloodline to win the title. Now I got another sheet over here because my daughter, and I'm going to say this, my daughter's already said she's going to hijack this show one morning at 10 a.m. So if you tune in and you see me not on the show, you see a 5'2", 5'4" girl with a hoofalala around her neck taking over the show, come look for me because I'm somewhere locked up in the basement because she's hijacked the show. I also got to give a shout out to my son who's producing the show today. Outstanding work that he's doing over here producing the show. And we definitely will be getting on Shannon's podcast, Shannon Smith podcast, because he's getting ready to go do some college tours. So I can't wait to talk about traveling with him doing these college tours, because he did not choose to want to go to the best college in the state of North Carolina. If you ask me, the Campbell University in Buies Creek, roll humps. He didn't want to go there. He wants to go to App State or UNCW in their communication program. So we're going to see what happens right there. He's even talked about maybe wanting to go to Gardner Webb to see if they got a communication program for production. So we'll be talking about some tours on Shannon's Pro podcast later on as we start traveling to different colleges with him. But my daughter seen in her picks, she said, do not leave Wrestling Destiny without making her picks. For the men's Money in the Bank, she has Jey Uso. For the women's Money in the Bank, she has Tiffy Time. She loves Tiffany Stratton. She has Tiffy Time winning. For the Damian Priest Seth Rollins match, she agrees with me. She has Damon retaining. For the Sami Zayn Braun Breaker, she's going with Sami. She feels like Sami will retain. And for the Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline, she sided with me on that one. She's going with the Bloodline. So those are her picks. I gave you my picks. Jump in the comment box. Leave your picks. We'll be live every Saturday at 10 a.m. recapping what happened on WWE Monday Night Raw, SmackDown NXT, recapping what happened on TNA on Thursdays, recapping AEW Ring of Honor, recapping Wild Women's Wrestling, recapping NWA, recapping some New Japan, just recapping everything that's going on. And we're going to start talking a little more NWA here because we're going to get some more eyes on that and maybe putting more eyes on the NWA with find this podcast, reach out to WWE and get EC3 on NXT and start doing something with them. Well, don't forget, one last announcement. Tune in tonight. Soon as Money in the Bank ends, tune in for the Boom Broadcasting post-show of Money in the Bank. Mouth Off with Mike from Nightcap will be hosting a panel of a bunch of people up there tonight. So many people, can't call them all, but we got a good panel tonight. I'm going to try to get on the panel tonight. I probably will be up there talking about what I think about Money in the Bank. Was it good? Was it bad? Great? And giving my grades on the matches. Just also make sure you tune in for that. But we will see you next week. 10 a.m. on Wrestling Downtown, right here on Boom Broadcasting. This is Shawn. Don't forget, if you missed some content this week, go to Boom Broadcasting, catch up on all the content so that you'll be ready for Money in the Bank. This is Shawn. I'm signing off, and I'll see you next week at 10 a.m.